There has never been a better time to be a watch enthusiast. All budgets can participate, the level of finishing available across the board, and just sheer amount of style options. I've said it before a few times, and I still think it's true. If you want an affordable mechanical dress watch, it's easy to find. A mid-range diver with brand name recognition, there's a few. If you want an erotic scene with a snake and complication, it brings me no joy to say this, but it exists. Even though we're in a great time for enthusiasts, there's this prevailing feeling that watches are boring, the industry isn't trying to make interesting things, and it's all a bit mediocre. So here's why I think that is, and I'll have a bit of a hot take at the end. This section rests on two core ideas. One, the industry is saturated, and two, marketing feels corporate and repetitive. I just got home from Watches and Wonders last week. It was fun. It is probably my favorite watch-related event of the year, but the yearly expectation to create something new, fresh, exciting must be arduous. To be clear, this isn't me feeling sorry for watch brands. They sell luxury products for thousands of dollars or pounds, whatever your currency. Our expectations of them should be high, but I'm not sure it should be yearly high expectations. There was a time when a new watch release actually meant something. It felt considered, intentional, like an event. Now it feels constant, and the bar of what qualifies as a new release is getting lower. It's now slight tweaks, limited editions, new colorways. And it's not that these watches are bad. They're often very good. But when everything is new, nothing feels new anymore. In a couple of weeks, brands like Tudor, Grand Seiko will start unveiling their off-calendar novelties, and Watches and Wonders will feel old. You stop paying attention, you stop caring, because there's always a new release next week. Then, core idea 2, the marketing feels corporate and stale and repetitive. Overusing heritage narratives, limited originality in campaigns, something feels stale. I actually think this is an area where microbrands and indies can stand out as well. Like, remember when Christopher Ward brought out the 12? Their ad campaign was kind of poking fun at the fact that people were saying this design kind of looks stolen, and they encouraged people to do their research. However you feel about Christopher Ward, it's a clever ad. Micro brands and indies don't have the same stakes that the big brands have, and can therefore be more nimble and take risks like this. Nor do they have an expected way of marketing. Okay, so gear shift. We need to talk about crabs really quickly. There's this process called carcinization, where different groups of animals evolve to have the same traits. There have been 5 separate crustacean species that have evolved to be more like crabs, because crabs are peak performance, I guess. It is evolutionarily favorable for crustaceans. Maybe the same thing is happening in the watch world. Integrated stainless steel sports watches, vintage-inspired designs, mid-century divers, even microbrands and major brands converging on the same aesthetic language. I think there's a few different reasons for this. One, going back to carcinization, watch brands are heavily incentivized to create what sells best, which is all the categories I just said before, and there's only so many things you can do with a mid-century style diver before it starts feeling stale. They have evolved to make their slight flavor differences on the same recipe. Number 2, the industry is about to enter some pretty challenging times. I think we've already entered it, and I think this is only the beginning. When people have less money to spend on fancy wrist jewelry, they're pickier with what they buy because their spending power isn't as strong. And more often than not, they choose safe, tested, classical designs or boring watches. Right now, and if you're watching this video, you already know this, it's all about vintage-inspired stainless steel, the most affordable material, and usually with an integrated bracelet. None of these things are inherently bad. They objectively look great. That's why so many people like these styles of watches. But when everyone is drawing from the same references and getting inspired from the same references, they start to lose their sense of identity. If you covered the logo on a lot of modern watches, would they feel distinct? Or are we slowly drifting towards a kind of aesthetic sameness? I've had a few videos recommended to me on YouTube which suggest people have boring watch tastes because of watch YouTubers, which is one, giving us way too much credit, and two, simply not true. Watch YouTubers, critics, commentators, I don't think we inform tastes, we validate them. Your favorite watch YouTuber probably has quite similar tastes to you. If you like weird indies, Swiss Watch Gang, affordable, rugged, the Mad Watch Collector, or just one more watch, rugged tool watches, Adrian Barker. Brands are playing it safe. They're too bloated to take risks, and they're all morphing into the same crab. And the audience can tell. I actually think this is where we should talk about IFL and their newest drop, and they just so happen to be today's fabulous video sponsor. So this is the IFL Manhattan Paradox, launching today, right now, limited to 200 pieces. This is their third hand-painted limited edition, built on the Man 37 platform, and it is my favorite yet. Inspired by the paradox of New York City, particularly in the Jazz Age. From above, it's pure geometry. Every avenue squared, intersections drawn with a ruler. While at street level, it is chaos. Jazz spilling out of nightclub basements. The Manhattan Paradox captures the contradictions and celebrates them. It's Art Deco meets jazz, structure meets spontaneity. These are painted by hand by IFL's in-house artists, and they've really outdone themselves on this one. It's intricate and specific, really beautifully done. If you're not as familiar with this watch, it has a case diameter of 37 millimeters, a thickness of just 9.3 millimeters, and 100 meters of water resistance. It is powered by a great, top-grade movement, the self-winding Sellita SW200-1, giving 38 hours of power reserve. I mean, the watch is awesome, but with IFL, it's all about the dial work. This is the stuff that speaks to me. This is exactly what I like. If you want to check out this watch, go click the link that is in my description, even if you just want to see what else IFL is doing. This is super limited, only 200 pieces worldwide, so don't miss out. Go click that link, and thank you so much to IFL for sponsoring this video. One of the things enthusiasts care about most is the spec sheet. From a technical perspective, watches kind of feel maxed out. Power reserves, already more than enough. Accuracy, far beyond what people actually need, especially when your phone that is always on you is set to atomic time. Materials are stronger, lighter, more durable than ever. And we won't even get started on water resistance and what people claim that they need. 100 meters has become industry standard for a go anywhere, do anything watch. The big problem this creates is when everything is already so good, improvements become incremental and almost invisible. 5 hours extra on power reserve doesn't feel that exciting. In fact, I would exchange that for a slimmer movement and slimmer case profile. Marginally better accuracy doesn't change your experience, especially if you have a lot of watches and you don't wear them all regularly, so half of them aren't wound anyways. I've been noticing a growing interest in design and ergonomics, and I think it's because technical progress has stalled. How a watch makes you feel, how it feels on wrist, the emotional side is becoming more important. When I think of the largest innovations from a modern standpoint, I think of George Daniels updating the widely used escapement to coaxial. The use of silicon components, Ulysse Nardin, and the Freak being the first to introduce this in their escapement. I think the next phase of innovations will be in materials. I think of, however you feel about them, Richard Mille, Ulysse Nardin, even Norqain on the more affordable end. Final reason, and this one feels especially relevant right now, prices have gone up. Quite significantly in many cases, with not a lot to show for the increase. Going back to our last section, there's been a specification plateau, but a cost premiumization, and it's not just at the high end. Brands like Seiko have been increasing. Mid-tier, Tudor is one of the best examples of this. When this happens, it shifts buyer behavior. People become more cautious. Instead of taking a chance on something unusual and weird and expressive, they start choosing safe, with versatile options, classic designs, the one that feels justifiable. And again, that's completely understandable. I know I'm doing the same thing. I'm actually going neo-vintage and secondary where possible. But when everyone's making conservative choices, the overall landscape becomes more conservative and maybe a little less interesting. Okay, I've just said a whole section that I'm gonna cut out about value retention. And it's not because value retention doesn't matter. Of course it does. It informs a lot of purchasing decisions. I know it is for me and where people buy from. I just don't think the world needs another Brit Pierce video where I just drone on about value and pandemic era flippers and distorted value perception, gray market premiums. I will say this is almost certainly a contributing factor as to why the landscape is getting more homogenized and it feels like we see the same thing over and over and over again. When finances are tighter, it feels a lot more, no, it is a lot more justifiable to buy something that retains a lot of value. The big reason I'm cutting it out is, remember when buying watches felt like joining a passion and not playing the stock market? It's a factor for sure. But I can't keep talking about money and finances and stay passionate about purely watches themselves. Okay, let's finish with a bit of a hot take here. I can't tell if this is a chicken or an egg thing. Like, are watch brands making boring watches because that's what people actually want and they actually buy? Or are people buying boring watches because that's what brands are making? And that's what's generally hype right now. Even when you think of the most overhyped watches in the last 5 years, it's the Patek Philippe 5711 green, Tiffany blue, then the 5811, the Rolex Daytona, Submariner, Omega Snoopy, all Tudor black bays, with the most out there being maybe the FP Journe Elegant, maybe Richard Mille. That's a bit of a divisive one for enthusiasts, but they're obviously selling well. Ish, as well as $200,000 watches can sell. They're making a lot of money. Forget about the Richard Mille. These aren't exactly groundbreaking designs, but they are some of the most desirable watches in the world. I don't think watch YouTubers are to blame for everyone liking mid watches. I think the watch brands make what sells and do what is best to preserve their brand. I think financial times are tight, and when budgets are lean, people aren't buying wacky wrist jewelry. They want safe, measured, tasteful watches. So that's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. The tides will turn again. People will feel financially optimistic again, and when we do, we will probably like maximalist, crazy, out there watches. The number one rule of watch collecting always will be buy what you love. If you love weirdo, out there watches, no one is stopping you. If you like safe, boring watches, hey, I understand. I'm right there with you. Buy what you love. It's your money. It's your hard-earned money. It's your taste. I don't think anyone should judge anyone. Anyways, guys, this is just an idea I've been sitting on for a while, and I'm so glad I finally made this video. If you liked this video, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, thank you for watching all the way to the end. I will receive the thumbs down, but thank you so much for your viewership. Thank you to everyone. This channel runs because people watch the videos, so thank you. Thank you to IFL for sponsoring this video, and thank you to the Pope tier patrons. Aw yeah, get their names on the screen. Hello, Pope tier patrons. Hello, all tier patrons. Guys, I say it all the time. This channel runs because of the fabulous patrons who give money to support the work we do here. Thank you so, so much. I am about to update my camera. There's a really fancy Sony camera that a lot of people shoot with that I want to upgrade to, and it's because I've been saving my Patreon money to make this channel better. So thank you so, so much. I hope you keep enjoying the work we do here. I love making these videos. I think I have the best job on earth, and it's all possible because of you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.